Hello friends, here we will discuss the remaining theory part of chapter 1. So see, dealing room divisions. Okay, so what is a dealing room? Basically, see, dealing room is nothing but it is a department. It is a department. Okay, it is a department which mainly deals in the what? Which mainly deal in the forex. Okay, so where the transaction of all the forex transaction occur, it is mainly at the dealing room. Okay, so simply dealing room is mainly for the forex transaction, and also for what the main task of the dealing room is to manage the asset and liability of the bank. Okay, and mainly which are in the forex, which are in the foreign currency. Okay, so the main purpose of a dealing room is it is a separate department in the bank. You can say under the forex department there is a dealing room which deal in the forex. Okay, and the main objective is also to manage the asset liability of the bank in the foreign currency. Okay, so what are the divisions of that dealing room? See friends, that dealing room we have to discuss in detail in the module C. In module C, treasury management, we have to discuss the treasury management. In that that whole thing, that is a front office, back office, mid office, and all about the dealing room we are going to discuss. So here we will just take a brief overview as expected in the chapter 1. Okay, so first division of a dealing room, we can say it is a it consists of the front office, back office, and the mid office, and third is the mid office. So dealing room consists of, first it consists of the front office, then it is a back office, and then it is consist of the mid office. So what is a front office? What do you mean by front office? See, front office, it is also called as the dealing room. It is also called as the dealing room. Why? Because front office is the main division in the dealing room. Okay, what are the function performed by the front office? So originate the transaction. Who originate the transaction? It is done by the front office. Preparation of a deal slip is also done by the front office. Manage nostro account. What is a nostro account? Nostro account means our account with you. Our account with you. That is a say SBI's account in America with Citibank in the dollar. It will be nostro account. It is our account with you. Okay, so we know what are different types of the account that we have already discussed, and again we are discussing in the next chapter also. Okay, so nostro vostro. Nostro means our account with you. That means SBI is having account in the form of a dollar in the USA. Say bank, say Federal Reserve Bank, or say Citibank of USA. Okay, so this is simply the nostro account. So management of the nostro account fund is a responsibility of the front office. Then as I have already told, foreign currency asset liability also managed by the front office. So these are some important, I repeat, these are the important function or important task done by the front office. Okay, now next is the back office. What is the back office? Name itself, it is a back office. We all know the main work done here is the administration. Okay, so it consists of what? Processing of the deal. Different deal initiated by the front office, back office will process it. Then accounting and reconciliation, it is a part of the back office. Verification of the deals, it is also part of the back office, and it acts as a supportive as well as the checking role over the dealer. So checking role, it acts as a checking role over the dealer. Okay, it is supportive as well as the it does the function of a checking. Okay, so remember, very easy, just remember one line keyword: administration. So back office is mainly responsible for the administrative work. It consists of the processing of the deal, accounting and reconciliation, verification of the deal, and it acts as a supportive as well as the checking role over the dealer. That means a front office dealer. Okay, now what is the role of mid office? In one line we can say risk management is a responsibility of the mid office. We have discussed front office, we have discussed back office also. So what is the role of mid office? Mid office is a risk management. The main work of the mid office is risk management. Okay, next, check the risk taken by the dealer. Okay, what is the front office dealer, how risk is they are taking, it is analyzed by the mid office. Provide market information to the dealer. To avoid a risk, mid office, the people working at mid office will provide the information to the dealer. Why? To avoid the risk. And compliance and guidance or instruction that should be followed by the mid office. Okay, so friends, it is all about the mid office risk. Just remember here, I repeat, there are mainly dealing room is consist of mainly the front office, mid office and back office. Front office take a major, they actually take part in the deals. Okay, back office do the work of administration, and a middle office, that is mid office, is for the risk management. Okay, this is back office for the administration, mid office for the risk management, and front office directly take the part in the deals. Okay, so in this way you can remember. So how question can be asked here? They will give the 4 options, and they will ask which of the following is not function of the front office. They will ask which of the following is not a function of the back office, and they will ask which of the following is not a function of the mid office. Okay, so from that 4 option you have to choose correct which of the following is not a function of. In this way they can frame a question. Okay, so now we will discuss next, that is the, see here also the 2 responsibility of a mid office. Provide MIS to the top management and function independently. So remember, this is the important task, because the mid office is responsible for the risk management, and that's why it functions independently. And it provides MIS. What is MIS? That is a management information system data to the top management whenever they have asked. Why they have provided MIS? Because the main function of a mid office is to manage the risk, and to manage the risk, the management has to take some limits. They have to set some limits, they have to take some decisions. That's why they need MIS. Okay, so this is just all about the mid office. Okay, we have discussed front office, back office and mid office. Now what is USAP? What is USAP? USAP stands for Uniform Standard Accounting Procedure. It is a simply uniform, it is standard, and it is an accounting procedure. But for what it is used? First remember, it is issued by the FEDI. It is issued by the FEDI. That means who gives that procedure? It given by the FEDI. And for what is the purpose of that USAP? Is the valuation of the foreign exchange profit. Remember, how can you evaluate the forex profit? It is by the procedure called as the USAP, that is Uniform Standard Accounting Procedure. And who issued the guideline about that? By the FEDI, that is the Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India. Now valuation should be done in respect of all component of the foreign exchange position based on the rate advised by FEDI. So who advises the rate? It is advised by the FEDI. Okay, and why we are using the USAP? We are using for evaluating the foreign exchange profit. Now friends, here we have to discuss the authorized person. Okay, so what is authorized person? So somewhere you might read like authorized dealer, that is AD1, AD2, AD3, right? So what is AD and what is AP? So friends, AD and AP is nothing but the same. So previously we were calling as authorized dealer. Now RBI called them as authorized person. Okay, so remember, authorized dealer and authorized person are same. There is no any difference in that. Okay, so authorized dealer and authorized person are same. Now AP category 1, that is authorized person category 1. So who comes under that category? So it is simply a category. Remember, authorized person is the person who can take a part in the foreign exchange, and there are different categories. So in first is AP1, that is authorized person 1 category. All banks, that is mainly the large commercial banks and a financial institution are in the category of 1. All scheduled commercial bank and a financial institution are in the AP category 1. So they can do all type of foreign exchange transaction. Remember, who come under the category? Say SBI, we are in the category of AP1, so we can do all foreign exchange transaction. Say CBI, central bank, or any bank we take as a commercial or nationalized bank, which come under the category of AP1, that is AP1 or AD1. Okay, so all banks and financial institution, so what they are doing, they are allowed to take undergo all type of the foreign exchange transaction. Now what is AP category 2? That is authorized person category 2. They are consist of the full-fledged money changer. They are full-fledged money changer. So who is a money changer? We know there are different money changers in the market, right? They can exchange the currency. Okay, so what they can do sell as well as purchase of the foreign currency note, travelers check, as well as miscellaneous remittance if any they can do. And authorized person category 1, they are allowed to do all type of foreign exchange transaction. But the authorized person category 2, they are consist of the mainly full-fledged money changer. They can do sell purchase of foreign currency, travelers check, as well as the miscellaneous remittances are also allowed. But in case of AP category 3, they are restricted money changers. What do you mean by restricted? Means they can only purchase the foreign currency notes or the check. They are not allowed to sell. So in case of restriction, remember, they are not allowed to sell, to undergo the sell transaction on the foreign currency. So it is very easy. So remember, AP category 1, they are consist of the bank and financial institution, all type of transaction they can do. Authorized person category 2, they are a full-fledged money changer. That means they can do the sell and purchase of the foreign currency. And in case of AP category 3, they are restricted money changer, so they can only purchase the foreign currency note. Okay, they are not allowed to sell. Now we have to discuss the FEDI. FEDI means Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India. FEDI, some major guideline we will discuss. Okay, so that we have already discussed in other videos. So here I will give again a brief idea about the FEDI guideline. So first is the NTP is allowed to the all export bill. What is NTP? NTP is a normal transit period. Okay, it is allowed to all export bill. So here they can ask a question, NTP is allowed to all export bills, some export bill. Okay, so remember, NTP is allowed to the all export bill. That means whenever you the exporter transporting some goods to the that is exporting some goods, in that return he will receive some foreign currency. Okay, and so to ship that good and to process and to receive that money, there's a time is there, time we should need, right? So that is basically a normal transit period, that is NTP. Okay, so it is very easy and it is allowed to the all export bills. Next, crystallization of export bill, it should be done at a TT selling rate. What do you mean by TT? TT means a telegraphic transfer. That means basically, simply just remember, TT is used when there is immediate transaction, and a bill is used when there is a delay or a processing of document is involved. Okay, simply. Now crystallization of export bill, it should be done at a TT selling rate. So previously what we have discussed, when we in case of export bill, we are using what? We are exporting something, right? Say goods we are exporting, so bank will receive the foreign currency. Okay, exporter will receive, and to in case that exporter will give it to the bank, so basically bank will receive the foreign currency in case of export. So inflow of foreign currency, so we will apply buying rate. But in case of crystallization, we have to apply selling rate. Remember why? See here, crystallization means it is a conversion of what is a crystallization? Foreign currency liability to the domestic. What do you mean by crystallization? I repeat, crystallization means converting a foreign currency liability to the home currency. Okay, so here bank here what happening, bank is converting foreign currency liability to the Indian rupee. So that means bank is giving a dollar, and so converting dollar to rupees means dollar will go away. So when it is a go away, that is a sale transaction. Okay, so remember, for when there is a word crystallization, just remember, for crystallization we are converting foreign currency liability to the domestic liability. That means we are indirectly selling that foreign currency right? That means we have to apply a TT selling rate. Okay, so remember, it is very, very important, whenever there is a word like a crystallization of export bill, we have to use the TT selling rate. Now time for crystallization. What is the timeline for crystallization? It depend on the bank. It is up to discretion of the bank. Now crystallization of a import bill. For import bill also we have to apply the selling rate. For crystallization, I repeat, crystallization means converting the foreign currency liability to the domestic. So when we are converting that, that means we are selling the foreign currency, so selling rate we have to apply. But in case of import bill, we have to apply the bill's selling rate, and in case of export bill we have to apply TITT selling rate. So why the difference? So see here, for export we are for export what we are doing, the exporter will export the good, right? And we are waiting for the payment. As a bank, we are waiting for the payment. Okay, so we suppose the $10 million is supposed to be goods amount of $10 million is exported, and we are waiting, our exporter importer, say exporter and the bank in India is waiting for $10 million. So it is a huge responsibility of the bank if the rate fluctuate. 10 million is a very huge amount, so if the rate fluctuates there will be a loss to the bank, so there is a risk involved. So to avoid that, we are transferring the foreign currency liability to the domestic. That means that should be done on immediate basis to avoid the risk. That's why we here apply the TITT rate. Okay, but in case of import bill, what we are doing, we are importing goods. We are importing goods to the India. So India, we have received the goods, so we have to pay them. Say USA, we have to pay. We have imported the goods, but here we are not having that much of responsibility because goods we have already received, so we have to just pay. Okay, so risk is, there is also risk involved, but here we are paying. So we have to process the documents here, whether we have received the goods, whether they are good. So there is some procedure is involved. So here we are paying the bills rate. Okay, so in simple terminology I will tell you, in case of export, we have exported the goods, so our responsibility is more. We are getting the money. As a banker, we are purchasing the foreign currency, that's why more risk is involved, so we are applying TITT. But in case of import, we are imported, we have to send money, so we can say we can manage the risk. So there is also documentation handling we have to do here, so that's why bills is used. So TITT is for immediate transaction, I repeat, and bills is for the where some delay is involved, we are using bills. Okay, so hope it is clear to you, crystallization of export bill and a crystallization of import bill. Now cancellation of the forward contract should be third working day from a due date. Okay, so what is a rule for the cancellation of forward contract? It is a third working day from due date. If due date is say 7, then 8, 9 and 10, third working day from due date will be the cancellation of forward contract. That should be done on third working day from due date. Now cancellation of a forward contract should be done at opposite rate. That means purchase transaction, if you have done the purchase transaction and if you are going to cancel, you should apply the purchase. So here you should apply selling rate. So cancellation of a selling should be done by the buying rate transaction, that is TITT buying. Okay, so just remember, opposite we have to apply. If you are going to cancel sale, you are buying. If you are going to cancel the purchase, that means you are selling. Okay, so opposite rate you have to apply. And some currency like a Japanese yen or say Kenyan shilling should be quoted for 100 units of the currency. Or also there is one more currency, say Indonesian rupee, IDR something, Indonesian rupees, right? So that currency is having very less value, that's why they are quoted for the 100 units of the currency. For say for Indonesian rupiah, around 1 Indian rupee is equal to around 190 Indonesian rupees. So how huge we are, right? How our currency is very strong, right? Against what? Indonesia. But against dollar we are having very less value. So that's why what I am telling to you here, just point you have to remember, Japanese yen and the Kenyan shilling and also the Indonesian rupiah, they are quoted for generally 100 units of the currency. That means you cannot quote like one Japanese yen is equal to how much Indian dollar. Okay, you should not quote. You should quote what? 100 Japanese yen is equal to how much dollar. In this way you have to write. For one Japanese yen you cannot quote. You always quote for the 100. Next is the forward contract, that should be when you do the forward contract, that should be having a definite amount and the specific period. Okay, that is not that should be definite amount. You cannot say that we will buy the foreign currency of $100 to $200. No, that should be not, that should be specific. I am going to buy $100. Okay, so there should be a definite amount and specific period. That means 2 month forward. Okay, 3 month forward. In this way there should be a specific period. You cannot say between after 2 to 3 months I will buy. Okay, that should be a specific period. Now here one bit also, that a FEDI accreditation of a FE broker. That means FEDI, we know the FEDI. FEDI does the accreditation of a foreign exchange brokers. What do you mean by accreditation? Means generally they will give just a certification, just say certification, just they will certify that you can work as a broker. Okay, so accreditation of a foreign exchange broker is also done by the FEDI, not RBI. Okay, so just a small bit. Now what are the guidelines to the authorized person? We have discussed first, what we have discussed, authorized person category 1, they are banks and financial institution. Authorized person category 2, they are full-fledged money changer, and authorized person category 3 are restricted money changer. Okay, there are also some guidelines from RBI to them. What are that? So just take overview. AP category 1 banks, opening or closing of account abroad without prior permission of RBI. Means what? Say SBI want to open account with say Citibank in USA. So which account that will be referred? That will be referred as a nostro account, our account with you. Okay, so there is no prior permission of RBI is required. Okay, without you can open. Next, investment in overseas market institution debt instrument issued by the foreign government with a residual maturity less than 1 year. Investment in the overseas market in a money market instrument debt instrument issued by the foreign government with a residual maturity less than 1 year. So up to 1 year you can do investment as stated here. Okay, up to 1 year there is no any prior permission is required. To whom? To the authorized person category 1. Next, limit for raising loan overdraft abroad is 100% of tier 1 capital or 10 million, which is hour. So what is the limit to the authorized person? Authorized person can raise a fund subjected to maximum limit is 100% of tier 1 capital or 10 million, whichever is the higher they can raise as a loan or OD from the abroad. Next, forward contract by a resident Indian. So Indian resident also can do the forward contract subjected $1 million for 10 year up to the 1 year. So maximum duration is 1 year for individual, and maximum amount that is 1 million. That should be $1 million. Okay, so that is also one important bit. And forward contract by importer exporter, it is based on the past performance of 3 financial year. Okay, so how can we entertain the exporter or importer? Based on their performance in the previous 3 financial year. So there are some also important other guidelines also you can find in the book, but the major important which I find here I have quoted for you. Okay, now do one thing, you can subscribe us on YouTube, you can join our Telegram group. The name is CAIIB Banker Zone. For that you can search on the Telegram @CAIIB BZ. You can download the application from Play Store, Banker Zone CAIIB. So friends, happy learning.